So the mitigation of that is either putting in a dedicated radar yourself. There's new technology coming along which washes the turbines with a sort of a white noise that is able to be integrated to the radar computer that subtracts the returns. So there's all sorts of technology that's necessary and doable, increasingly doable, to make these things acceptable to all the various statutory bodies that operate the radar in this country. This is a site that actually didn't go forward, as you can see. And it's really just a snapshot of the noise, and the long bands across it are telecoms. And you can see that these people, the radar, the telecoms and noise obviously predate your plans for and therefore they're there and you have to cope with them. And by the time you put the noise buffers in, account for all the telecoms, mobile telephony across the site, you often find that there's just no room left for potential wind projects. And in this particular site, the white area is right in the middle in the red lines. The red lines were the land, green were the noise buffers, the blue is telecoms, white was the area that could just about work, but it was all a bit too tight. So that particular site in Yorkshire unfortunately didn't work. And similarly for cultural heritage, obviously you have to take into account the numerous listed properties, buildings around in the area to ensure that the sight lines and so on are acceptable from all the surrounding area. And similarly for ornithology, as I said, at least a year's bird data and a judgment call to make sure that, sure, you're not near a Ramsar site, but are there migration paths across the site, depending on the season, and making sure that it is acceptable from an ornithology and environmental point of view. And so once you've done all that, you can then start thinking about taking the site forward and have hopes for a successful outcome. So we just look at just 3 sites, really, just to show sort of things that are going on. This was Rushymede. It's University of Reading. It's by the M4, junction 5 of the M4. It's on farmland. And the motivation for the university to do the deal was that I think the Vice-Chancellor said to me, he said, "Don't ask me why we're doing this. My students keep on asking me why we're not doing more." And I didn't want to just talk about it. I wanted to do something. And this particular site is next to a research park that they've just got permission for. It's adjacent, as I said, to the M4, which you'll just see in the corner there. And you've got the current view on the top and the view with the 4 turbines proposed on the bottom. It's about 10 megawatts. And this particular site, the key risks, as you'd imagine, in Reading would be radar with the MOD and Heathrow and all the various airports around. Wind, it's central England, so you've always got a problem with wind in England. You've got to be very, very careful about that. And in this particular case, telemetry with all the various telecoms around the southeast of England. But we're confident that we won't have any statutory objections. With the MOD and everyone are happy. Planning applications are currently under consideration, and the university hope very much that that will go forward. As I said, adjacent to their research park. Another one is Forth Bank. This is with Clackmannanshire Council on the Clyde. A motivation for them is that it's the particular site is on an old waste tip, a reclaimed waste tip. It's just capped. The gas is more or less gone from it, so that you can't use it for gas power use. But their motivation was, look, we've got this piece of land, we'd like to make some financial return out of it, and we'd like to make a statement as far as what we're doing for our residents for climate change. Again, it's 4 turbines, 10 megawatts, and the particular issues here, although you can see there are some very large power lines going across the site, actually grid connection is a problem because they're they're ultra high voltage, and connection to them costs about £500,000. So you've got to take it a mile or two away, and there were a few problems there. And of course, another risk is civils costs, because you're building on a waste tip, and building a 100-metre turbine on an old uncompacted waste tip isn't without problems. And being by a river, the other issue was on the bird side. So this has needed over a year of bird monitoring to make sure that it's a suitable site for the turbines. And I know the council are very keen to see that go forward. And lastly, the last example was Stamford Hill, courtesy of the Ministry of Justice. It's in Kent on the Isle of Sheppey. Again, this time a couple of turbines, 120 metres, 5 megawatts. And the motivation there from the prison governor and the ministry was very much having adjacent land that they wanted to fully utilise, make a statement on climate change, make a difference, and also other financial returns, of course. And the key risks there, aviation, so the tip height is a little lower on that site, and ornithology, being on the Isle of Sheppey, you'd expect the birds to be a particular issue. So those three examples show that it's typical that there's various motivations from the public sector to do this, whether it's cash, whether it's utilising land, whether in the Environment Agency's case, I remember they saying to me that they're fed up of clearing up after everyone else's mess. They wanted to make a positive statement and do something constructive about that, and trying to prevent and halt or at least stabilise climate change. And the sites we've seen can vary from waste sites, they're old abandoned mines, which we haven't talked about, flood areas which you can't build on, but it's not a problem for the wind turbines. Small farms, we've found some that owned by the council that make the farming economic. Pumping stations all over the country. There are various power demands for various issues that, again, are very suitable for that. So it's great to see leadership, as you'd expect, from the public sector. We're seeing it increasingly across the country, and we're looking forward to building some of these and moving forward. Thank you.